Tonight on the docket, the battle to rein in the ever-growing federal budget deficit. Big government Republicans in the House are leading a pathetic charge, to cut $61 billion from this year's federal budget. To put that in perspective, the federal government budget deficit for 2011 is projected to be about $1.6 trillion. Cutting only $61 billion is a joke. But Senate Democrats won't be outdone when it comes to half-hearted or completely spineless spending cut measures. They proposed an additional $6.5 billion cut that the Congressional Budget Office claims is actually only $4.7 billion. Following all this, America, too many politicians on both sides of the aisle have simply lost touch with reality when it comes to spending. A $4.7 billion cut in the face of a $1.6 trillion deficit is akin to doing nothing when it comes to solving this problem. It's as if an alcoholic stood tall on a podium addressing his fellow drinkers and proudly proclaimed that tonight at the bar he would only have 10 shots of Jameson's instead of 11. Yes, America, all but a few of our politicians are as delusional about spending as an alcoholic is about drinking. But there is always hope when you have brave politicians who are willing to risk shutting down the government if it won't act responsibly. Here now, a congressman who voted to do just that, Texas Republican Louis Gohmert. Congressman Gohmert, it's a pleasure. Welcome back to Freedom Watch.
Judge, always good to be with you, for sure.
How dangerous
and I've heard you talking about this for some time, and I appreciate it, because sometimes when you talk as strongly as you do, it kind of gives some extra calcium in other people's backbones. It's a good thing.
That's very nice to hear. Thank you, Congressman. But you certainly have a lot of calcium in your backbone. You were one of only 6 Republicans in the House of Representatives to vote against the continuing resolution. That was that authorization for the government to spend money for another 2 weeks. Why did you, tell us why, of course you know I agree with you, but tell us why you defied the leadership of your own party and did that.
We had just spent 90 hours debating other cuts. And like you said, and that was only getting to $61 billion. We had fought hard, we had got those in, and then to turn around and say 2 weeks later, we're not sure the Democrats in the Senate have had enough time, so let's give them 2 more weeks. My gosh, we've been debating it for 90 hours. They easily knew what was in that bill, and I know our leadership keeps saying the most important thing for America is to see that we're all together, all voting together. And I'm going, no, they need to see that we're serious about reining in this massive debt. And by the way, it's interesting, the juxtaposition, Judge, but for so many years, liberals beat up on conservatives because we were trying to be disciplined. Now we're on the side of the children.
Right.
We're the ones that are trying to save the children and the grandchildren from this mantle of debt that we should never be putting on them.
You know,
and by the way,
a lot of young people watch this show. A lot of young people are libertarians. The generation coming of age simply will not accept business as usual. When the leadership of the Republican Party, not you and Ron Paul and Michelle Bachmann and the others whose names are now escaping me because you resisted the leadership, but when the leadership of the Republican Party says business as usual, what does that say to the generation of young people coming of age watching this nonsense?
That's right. I hear a lot of people disheartened. Now, I voted because I thought it was the wrong thing to do. You're getting ready to negotiate further, and you've just pulled off the table all these things you fought for. But let's say for those who didn't even believe, as most of us, you and I believe, that we've got to rein this stuff in, from a tactical standpoint, this business of making sure all Republicans vote the same way, we're all united. You know, think about it. Speaker goes in to talk to Harry Reid. Harry Reid says, hey, you can see my guys are all over. I can't give any more on this. But you guys, you all vote lockstep together. You can give all you want to because your guys will always give in. They need to understand we're not the enemy of the Republican leadership. We're their friends, and if they'll let us, we can help them get on the right track.
I have asked almost every Republican member of the House of Representatives who's come on here, and I think I've asked you this before, maybe your answer will be the same or differently. Does Speaker Boehner recognize that he would be Minority Leader Boehner were it not for the Tea Party, were it not for the attitude that the government has to spend less and stop borrowing now. And if he does not recognize that, is he doomed? And if he does recognize that, is he willing to allow the government to be shut down to demonstrate to the American public that small government people in the Congress mean what they say?
Judge, the answer, honestly, is I don't know. I don't know. They say that they get it. They say that they know. But the truth is, you know, if they will just stand up, these people will come in behind him, and it'll be a new burst of strength like he hadn't seen before. But in the meantime, you know, we get treated as the outsiders, the crazies, the Tea Party crazies. And actually, this is mainstream America that's really concerned about the debt and the spending.
All right. What do you think happens if the government does shut down? I think the Tea Party attitude in the country is so prevalent that this time the Democrats and the White House will get blamed, unlike 1995 when the Republicans got blamed.
I think you're right, Judge. And the fact is, we truly are on the side of the children and the grandchildren, trying to avoid the irresponsible position of just loading them down with debt. We're in the moral right here. And I think we should stand our ground. But I know back in our Republican retreat, we had speaker after speaker say, you know, just you don't want to shut down the government. You don't want to vote no on the deficit increase. So there were some Texans that had a meeting, a small meeting, and I'd run up to my room and had Fox on in the room naturally. And somebody was saying, you know, polls out, 71% of Americans don't care if the government shuts down, whatever, just quit spending. And I told that to the other Texans, and one of them said, well, the other 29% that doesn't agree, they're in there talking to our retreat.
Got it. Congressman Gohmert, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
It's always good to talk to you, Judge. Thank you.